Orlando.
Welcome to the OZone.
Welcome to the OZone.
Welcome to the OZone. Welcome to the OZone.
The voice of Magic fans.
Welcome back to another episode of the OZone podcast, the voice of Magic fans. In the studio today, we have Justin.
Yo.
Al.
What's going on?
Myself, Anthony. And we got another special guest, friend of the podcast, Dante Marchitelli. How we doing, sir?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you guys. So now that I'm on twice, I get to be a friend, a friend of the show. I love that. Perfect.
That's it. That's it.
All right, great. It's good to see you guys. Everyone looks well.
Same here. Thank you.
It's funny how the first time that you came on with us, we were struggling through COVID, and the second time around, we're still struggling with COVID.
I'm going to wait until COVID's gone to join you for a third time, fellas. I'm gonna wait.
Okay.
Let's get through this. But I like that. I got to upgrade my backdrop. I love that backdrop you have there, Anthony.
As soon as we get off the air, I'll tell you my secrets. That way we can get you this match. But I like the setup that you have because you have two all-time greats in the background that I see. I'm not a big baseball fan, so I'm not sure who Ortiz is. Okay. Not a baseball fan. Okay. But you got Brady, and then my all-time favorite Magic player, Tracy McGrady. So I think it's a good setup.
Big Papi. You don't know who Big Papi is?
Justin, will you please fill him in? Would you please let him know who Big Papi is?
Well, growing up in New York and having a Hall of Fame Yankee as a cousin, we hated you guys.
I can imagine.
So that's David Ortiz.
I can imagine. Who was your Hall of Fame cousin?
A legend, nonetheless.
He better be first ballot.
A lot of people don't believe it when I say it, but Bernie Williams.
Really? Bernie Williams. I did.
Yes,
isn't
sir.
that cool? Very nice. Bernie always killed the Red Sox. He was
all the time.
Did. Yes, but Ortiz did some damage to you guys.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Right now. Right.
So, Dante, before we get started and jump into talking some Magic basketball, I want to know how it felt wearing New England Patriots gear at a Buccaneers game. How did that work? And I'm sure you weren't the only one doing that.
Now, let's be clear. I didn't have a ton of gear. I had a hat, right? I had a hat, which I think was okay. But I thought about painting my face and wearing a Brady jersey. I did think about that. But, no, it was. I had seen a couple of fans in previous games doing it, and I didn't want to be all decked out because I'm sure Tampa fans have to be getting annoyed with all these Patriots fans coming.
A little bit.
But for us, I mean, imagine Bernie Williams, David Ortiz, whoever your favorite player is, no longer on your team. He had so much success. He's the greatest football player of all time. That alone warrants you wanting to go watch him. And then he's right down the road. He's right down the road in Tampa. So I had to go check it out. I had to go throw my support to Tommy Terrific. And now with my Patriots being eliminated by those happy Dolphin fans, I'm all in on the Bucs. All in on the Bucs.
How far do you think they'll go? They struggled yesterday against the Falcons, right? 24-7, and then Tom Brady went into GOAT mode and pulled them through.
Yes, he sure did. I don't know if they're – I thought that defense was better. I'm not going to lie to you. I know Bruce Arians is a renowned offensive mind and all that, so you knew they'd be okay offensively. But, man, that defense – they give up a lot of points, and they should have lost yesterday. They couldn't stop Atlanta until it counted. Right. Matt Ryan cannot beat Tom Brady, fellas. I think we know this officially. That guy, I'm sure, didn't sleep a wink last night. But it was fun to watch. It was great to see Tommy up to his old tricks. And come on, you guys have to think deep down in there, he's pretty excited that he's going to make the playoffs and the Patriots.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully, I mean – you know, as a Giant fan, I don't celebrate Tom too much nowadays, but
sure.
But it'd be awesome to see the Buccaneers make it to the Super Bowl in Tampa, representing Tampa. That'd be amazing.
I think they can get there. I don't know if they can beat New Orleans. They've already lost twice to them, but depending on the path, who they got to play to get there, I don't ever count Tommy out. I don't know if anyone can beat the Chiefs right now. It may not matter, but I think they can be the first team to play a Super Bowl in their own stadium. That'd be awesome.
If they get there, Dante, then we definitely need to get you in there with the face paint, the whole gear, not just the hat.
I will wear whatever you guys want if you can get me to a Super. Imagine that. I never see a Super Bowl for Tom with the Patriots, but my first time would be when he's with the Bucs. That'd be me. I'd do it. That'd be great.
Look at that.
Dante, what was your experience about broadcasting in the bubble? Obviously, you've been doing it in the arenas for so long, and then kind of be taken out of the primary element, the same as the players, but doing it in more of a confined space. What was that experience like?
Well, it was strange. It's still strange, guys. Even though we're back in the building, thankfully we've got the players in front of us, but you don't have fans, and that's the best part of this whole thing is feeling that energy from fans. So it's still strange, but being in the bubble, you couldn't even see the players. I mean, you just literally we were relying on everything on the television monitor like everyone would have at home. Now we had another monitor, we had access to other feeds. There were other cameras during timeouts, and we were able to see the huddle and things like that. But there's no replicating being there. You guys know when you go to a game, there's nothing like being at a game. When you're not at the game, we want you to watch Fox Sports Florida, but there's nothing like being at the game, and we know that. And it was just, for David and Jeff, who are used to picking up so much off the ball that you don't see on camera, you kind of don't have that feel. But I thought they did an unbelievable job, because you're at the mercy of whatever the cameraman is shooting, and you're at that mercy. And I think they did a great job, and they figured out a way to do replays, and they figured out a way to call it the best they could. But it was strange. There were times where we'd go in there 1 PM, and it would literally be the 10 of us working the broadcast, only ones in the building, 900,000 square foot arena, 10 people. That part was very strange.
That's crazy. Now, let me ask you this, Dante. What are some things for you personally that you are enjoying of the new environment, and some things that you just simply cannot get used to?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess I don't have to wait in any lines. I can kind of get wherever I want. I walk in, I sit down, and then at the end I leave. But again, there's no wait for anything. But again, that being said, the most fun part of this whole thing for me is interacting with fans, is stopping and having those conversations. And you can pick up so much. You can get the pulse of Magic fans very quickly when you walk into the building and interact with a few of them. So that part, I don't think I'll ever get used to that. We're used to hearing the basket and then the crowd go crazy and stand and cheer for the fourth quarter. And we don't have that. The fans that will go will do the best they can. And we will have a bit of a home court advantage, being one of the few teams that will have fans. I think it's down to 6 now, but I think there's a lot of that I'll just never get used to. And what's new too, guys, this year, another thing that I probably like the least is the travel. We won't travel with the team. So even when the team goes on the road, we'll go back to kind of a bubble environment, and we'll be having to rely on everything on that monitor. And you pick up so much with an interaction in an elevator or on a bus or on the plane. There's so much that you can see interacting with these guys, and we kind of lose a lot of that. So we're going to have to rely on George Galante, which makes me nervous, but we're going to have to rely on him to kind of fill us in on all that.
I find that to be an interesting point also, just talking about how the fans impact the game, because I think most of us look at the game and can see how fans directly impact the players on the court and on the bench, but the broadcasting team feeds off of that energy as well. So one thing that I wanted to know is, how do you work on kind of bringing that energy into the broadcast when you don't have the fans to feed off of?
It's an interesting point. And I think just to piggyback on what you said about the fans being there, what's the first thing we do when we see a game winner or a big shot? You want to see the shot. You want to see the fans. The camera goes right to the fans. You want to see that excitement. That's what makes that so. We saw that Luka Doncic game winner in the bubble, and it was awesome. But without the fans, it just kind of felt fake. So you missed that. God, man, you just missed that. And hopefully we can get through this, do it smart, and have fans back as soon as possible. But I think what helped me, Justin, to your point, was being in a studio. When you have to do the pregame and the postgame in a studio, we have the great graphics and a desk and a great team that helps put that on for Fox Sports Florida. But there's no fans. There's no game night atmosphere in there. So you're told you have to generate all that on your own. And I think that's part of it. There's a natural high with being on TV. There's a natural high with doing a podcast or a broadcast of any kind. That it's very easy to get excited and get up for it. But understanding that you have to when you don't have that crowd. Doing a game in the bubble, when you realize you have to generate your own excitement. I think we were very conscious of it. We tried to do the best we could. Brian and Jeff have to call the game the best they can, but it's up to, I think, David and I to try and keep the thing moving and generate that excitement.
But do you feel now, being in the arena where there has been games and obviously the limited amount of people in the stands, do you feel as if the artificial crowd noise is helpful? Does it at least kind of help you adjust a little bit more than it would without any of it?
Yeah, it does. And that's a good point. But I think, everybody knows it's fake, right? So you're there, You hear it, it's pumped in. It's not the same as it would be. We have such great fans and they're into it. And when a big play is made, you know how they would react. And it's not the same. It's not the same. But it does help. It's better than nothing. There's no question about it. And hearing some of that, especially when you listen on radio, they're able to feed in that ambient, that ambiance, and it feels sounds almost like a game night atmosphere. But
right.
When you're looking around and you hear all the cheering and you see 6 people, it just it feels different. It feels different. But that was friends and family, and it was kind of experimenting. We're going to have a rowdy opening night crowd in the rest of the way. Those few fans that are able to come in are going to make their presence felt.
Yeah, I feel confident that the 4,000 people that they'll allow inside the arena, that they'll make up for the artificial. Hopefully, it gets to a point that they won't even need it from that point on. So, now, granted, NBA draft, so a lot of excitement, a lot of things happen all at once. I think from a fan standpoint, it was really neat to kind of go through the free agency, the trade deadline, the NBA draft, the all in 1 week. During the NBA draft, the Magic went I would say a untraditional route than what we're used to them selecting. Were you surprised that the Magic drafted Cole Anthony? I know as fans, I got the general sense that we were all extremely surprised. As much as I like Cole Anthony, as much as I admire his game, he wasn't in the top 5 of my projection of what I thought that we were going to go with. Was he a surprise to you?
Even at 15, he wasn't in your top 5 projection at 15. You didn't think they would go there?
Not that he wasn't, but I didn't see the Magic selecting him. I didn't see us going that route at all.
Now, are you saying because he's not 7 foot with a 9'7" wingspan?
Exactly. I remember him mentioning in an interview that he's never said that he had a type that he drafts, that's something that just the media and the fan base kind of threw on him. I remember him saying that, but at the same time, I get the feeling that it was completely different.
No, you're right. And you know what, too, Anthony? You look at all the mock drafts, all the analysts, no matter who it was, CBS, NBC, whatever, all these ESPN, Fox, whoever was the longest guy available is who they had projected. Exactly. And they said it kind of fits what this group likes. But listen, I think what they've said from the beginning is they're going to take the guy that they feel is the best basketball player. And yeah, though that helps. And you can't make up for the length and the height but they like Jonathan Isaac. They like Mo Bamba. They like the guys that they drafted. They like Giannis Antetokounmpo when they were in Milwaukee. They drafted him with the Bucks. When a guy like Cole Anthony, I think, is available at 15, and you're thinking this guy was the number 1 high school player in the nation. Now, some had Wiseman there as well, but this was the number 1 high school recruit coming out of high school, has the injury, isn't able to finish the whole season at UNC, but has a pedigree. His dad played in the NBA, and this is a hard worker, a competitor, a fighter, all the things that this group likes. Players that are selfless, and then another scoring op. They needed a shooter, they needed a scorer, they needed another guy to pack some punch into that second unit. So I think, you didn't have your traditional guy that maybe they would have liked from a physical standpoint, but I think and not to say they wouldn't have. I mean, they might have taken Cole if they had 8 or 9. I think they really like the kid. I think they like what he brings, and we've seen already, the leading scorer for rookies in the preseason. Total points scored. So I think you get pretty excited if you're a Magic fan thinking about what he can do. He had the injury. The UNC team didn't play well. He just played 22 games. They had some other injuries, and they didn't have a great year there. But, I think maybe because of that, he falls to 15. And I think the Magic got very lucky, and I think it's a terrific pick.
Yeah, and I think the entire fan base, it's happy to have him in Orlando. I mean, we've seen in only 4 preseason games what he can do, the difference he makes when he's on the court. Personally for you, as a basketball fan, what do you like about his game so far? Seeing him live, what does he bring to the table to our team?
You know what I like? We don't have a lot of guys that scream and yell and are into it and are vocal and all that stuff. It's kind of a calm, laid back group. It's just a workman-like group that we have. There's nothing wrong with that. But he gives some pizzazz. I think he gives some flash to this group. I think he gives much like Markelle, I think with his ability. But and then so you've got that, right? You've got that. I think he's got some star quality, some characteristics, some great charisma, things like that. You see the emotion, even though Vooch told him to smile the other night after his game winner. But he's got that. He's got that raw emotion. You hear him yelling, even from where I'm sitting, you can hear him yelling and directing that second unit. So he's got that. He's got kind of a lot of the intangibles, but the guy can play. I mean, he's got quickness. He can get to the basket. He's got a nice shot, and he seems to like the big moment. I mean, I know it's a preseason game, and say what you want, but he hit the game winner, and then he iced it with 2 free throws, in his fourth ever NBA game. And I think there's something to be said for that. He's not afraid of the moment. And I think, guys, you're not getting a guy that has potential and has talent and it shows all the other characteristics, and you try to make him a scorer. This guy has been a scorer his entire life, in high school and 1 year in college, 18 points a game in college, and 34 points in his debut against Notre Dame. That's a legitimate program. He's a scorer, and so coming off that second unit, coming off the bench with that second unit, him and Terrence, I think that's going to be problems for the NBA.
I agree. I was really excited. Like you said, just seeing his energy and seeing how he's not afraid to be critical of his game and how he performs. And I think that is, that's huge in trying to build and become great. So I'm excited to see that. But I did want to ask, because during that matchup against Charlotte, it felt like 2 big, point guard, shooting guard, projected stars, I would say, LaMelo and Cole Anthony kind of went head to head. What was your first impression of that? It felt like LaMelo got the better of the first game. And then Cole Anthony just came back in the second game, and I was impressed.
Yeah, and I thought Cole played okay in that third game. He'll tell you right after it's time to get better. But LaMelo impressed me. You talk about star quality. That guy's got it. He's loaded with it. He's got good size. I was watching him shoot, and he took about 40 threes, and I think he made 2. And I'm not exaggerating. Before the game in his pregame warmups. But again, you don't know how he's taking a 3, then he's stepping back, taking it. I don't know how serious he was kind of taking the warm up, but that shot is different. It's not kind of like as drastic as Lonzo, but it's a different release point. Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, you can see why the game plan going in was to maybe let him make a couple before you adjust to him defensively. Well, did he? I mean, he knocked down 4 threes. And that was the difference in the basketball game, was his long range shooting. You see what he can do. Even the pass he made the other night to Malik Monk in transition. I mean, that was just
the skip
unbelievable.
Pass, beautiful.
Oh, he's got a great feel for the game, and you can see that. So he's got size, he's got a great feel, his ability to get in the paint and find guys. He never loses sight of where his teammates are at. He's always seemingly, in just a couple of preseason games, a step or 2 ahead. And if he can be a consistent shooter, then I think you really have to. I think Charlotte would really have something.
Any prediction for Rookie of the Year?
I think Cole will be in the running. I will tell you this. Cole Anthony will be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year because he's going to have a chance to play. He's going to have a chance to play. He's going to put up, I think, numbers. But I don't know. They'll probably maybe look at the player that has the biggest impact, and will he have the biggest impact? I don't know. But I think he'll be in the conversation. LaMelo Ball will be in the conversation. I think it's hard to say this early who it's going to be, but I certainly think Cole Anthony will be in the conversation for that. You look at some of the Killian Hayes has kind of had a slow start. You look at Patrick Williams. I think a lot of these guys are so young. It's going to take a little bit to kind of get going in the right direction. But whoever it is that comes out and just is a scorer right away, that's going to be the guy. And I think Cole has a chance at that.
Yeah. So I've said in previous episodes that losing Jonathan Isaac was a major blow for us this season. Sure. But I think the addition of Cole Anthony and Chuma Okeke has kind of lessened that blow a bit. It's exciting to watch. Chuma Okeke we went a different route with him. He redshirted all last season, and now he's finally on the court. But what have you seen with Chuma Okeke? I've seen the comparisons of people have compared him to a modern day Rashard Lewis, and I really didn't see that, but I can kind of see him playing that role for us because he is a way better shooter from what I've seen than what I was expecting.
Yeah, no, he can shoot it. He can flat out shoot it. He did in college, he did in high school, and he will at this level. And I think, as we're talking about Cole and Chuma, I think everybody understands. We know, and I think everybody understands, they're rookies. They're going to look great sometimes, and then they're going to go through rough patches. Probably going to hit a rookie wall at some point, and that's understandable. I think what's different with Chuma is he went 20 months without playing. And I think when you look at all these guys, look at Gordon Hayward, for example. He had that horrific injury. To me, he wasn't right that whole next year. He didn't feel 100% comfortable and confident that whole. It seems to take guys got to know that they can play. Markelle Fultz, as good as he was last year, I think he had to know that he could get through a year without getting hurt. And I think Chuma's kind of going to be like that. He's gaining confidence by the day. He's getting stronger by the day. But I think it's only natural when you go that long without playing that you got to build up that confidence. Now, Jeff Turner pointed out the other night on the air, he's playing without a brace. So maybe that tells you he's already kind of gotten over the mental hurdle part of it. If he feels that comfortable to be out there without that. But I just think that mental part of it is so much when you're coming back from an injury like that. But once he gets through that and is able to tackle that, at that position, the 3 or the 4 that he's playing, those are the best players in the league. And he's going to have his hands full every night. I think it's going to be a whirlwind for him. I think it's going to come fast and furious. But I think he'll find his way at some point, and I think he's going to contribute with his team. Just enough, in today's NBA, you can never have enough shooting. And that guy can shoot. He can defend. He's big. He can rebound. And there'll be a spot for Chuma. And I think where he is now to the end of the year is going to be night and day.
I will say quickly, I was impressed when I saw his size on the court compared to other players. I was like, I didn't think Chuma was that big, and he's very big.
He's 6'8", and he's got long arms, right? So you know that's a plus. But he's a great passer too. I think you can tell just in a few preseason games he's got a great feel for the game. He hasn't played. He's got to be rusty. He's got to get that. He's got to feel more confident, and that'll come. And that's already gotten much better.
And I think it's going to be fun. Who do you like from an opposing team on the defense? Who do you guard on the art? Terrence Ross, Cole Anthony? Like, you have so much more firepower from behind the 3. Steve Clifford talked a little bit about that during one of his recent post interviews, that if there's one thing that we've done differently is that they've added way more shooting option in the second unit.
Would you not argue that's what this team needed? I mean, that was like right? That was a major hole for this team, is just to find enough shooting. I love DJ Augustine. I am an enormous DJ Augustine fan, and I don't want to jump the gun if you're going to talk about DJ later. But I think you've got a guy that isn't going to be as solid in Cole Anthony as DJ. He's going to make mistakes. He's a scorer. He's going to be trying to do more than DJ was. So I think you're going to be turnover prone at times, and so I think you'll see that. And I think you're probably not going to be as good a shooter as DJ yet. He's the best 3-point shooter on this team. Coming in, and he just never turned the basketball over, and he's a savvy veteran. He hardly ever made mistakes, but so it's hard to ask Cole to do all of that. But when you look out there and you think, okay, you put so much attention on Terrence Ross, as you know. So what happened? Ken Birch realized I can just roll to the basket and I'm open all day. So he had a great preseason. He looked solid. And then you're right. Cole's going to have if they double Terrence, he's going to have a wide open Cole Anthony, or he's going to have a wide open Chuma Okeke. We eventually are going to get James Ennis back, and Dwayne Bacon goes to that second unit. Or if it's Gary Clark, I mean, these are shooters. These are weapons that are going to be available and are going to be open now. And I think this second unit probably as deep as it's been in a while. And then at some point, you hope to add Al Farouk Aminu into there as well, another savvy veteran.
Yeah, I definitely think that second unit, it's probably the best it's been in a while, especially with shooting. Like I said, that's been the biggest weakness of this team for years. And I think the front office has done a great job kind of fixing it with marginal moves, but yet making the right moves, not spending a lot of money, adding key guys, good guys in the locker room. So we got to give props to the front office for making those moves. And one of the biggest ones has been adding Markelle Fultz to our team. And a lot of fans are excited to see what he's going to bring this season. What have you seen from Markelle so far this preseason? As you're seeing it live and you kind of interacted with him, what do you expect from him in 2020?
Yeah, you know what I see first and foremost, guys, is last year I think he was every day. How are you feeling? How's the shoulder? How are you doing? Are you going to be able to play? Are you doing okay? Now you've played a week. Now you played your first month. Now you played 2 months. How are you? Just so much of that. And listen, he'd never been through it before. We never went through it before with him. We're getting to know him, and these are all legitimate questions. And I think at the end of the year, there was a sense that, man, I just did this whole year on my terms. I was able to finish this year injury-free and get through it. So I think now that you don't have that, and we're just talking about his game, and we're just talking about what he is as a basketball player, he's relishing that. He is in such a great place, guys. And it was evidenced by the extension that he was able to sign, the Magic putting confidence in him, adding an additional 3 years to his contract. But he's worked tirelessly to get back out there on the floor, to stay healthy. Knock on wood, we hope he can again all this year. He missed one game, and it was for an illness. He was able to play the entire season. So now I got to think that's out of the back of your mind now. And now you're just playing. The shot is what it is, and he'll continue to work on that. The shot looks better than it did last year. That release point is getting higher. He's releasing it quicker. He's stepping into it. The feet look better. All the mechanics look much better than they did last year, and he'll continue to fine-tune it. But just look at just watch. You guys see the confidence level that he's going to have. Okay, 12, 13 points a game last year. Are we talking 15, 16 now? Is he going to add to that a little bit more? Is he going to be more assertive at times? I think he deferred a lot last year, and I think you'll see him take over stretches of basketball games this year, which I think maybe he could do last year, maybe was a little reluctant to do, but I think you're going to see that this year.
And I think with the physical attributes, like you said, just kind of feeling himself stronger and more confident,
right,
that's showing through in the way, at least for me, in the way that he's communicating and kind of commanding on the court. You see it. He's more vocal as a leader now. And I think that's just all a byproduct of his confidence rising.
You know what's interesting, Justin? You say that, and there was a game, I forget where we were. I'm going to say DC or something, but we were 2 months into the season, a good 2 months into the season. It wasn't a great effort, kind of a lackluster performance, the Magic lost. That was the first time he went out there and said, this is unacceptable. We can't play like that. We can't start the game. And you started to have that locker room voice, you know, right. And I think DJ was that guy. DJ was the locker room guy. He was the guy that could talk to everybody. He could keep it loose. He was the veteran, so any question anybody could possibly have, he would answer. We need a new voice. There needs to be a new kind of glue. Everybody has their own voice in their own way, but I think he was kind of one of the glue guys. And if he can emerge and be that guy, this is his opportunity. And I think whereas, a reluctant to take over maybe stretches on the floor, even though he knew he could do it, I think he kind of deferred a little bit. This isn't my team yet. I think now he's well aware that, I'm one of the guys on this team. I need to be better. I need to be more vocal. I'm the point guard. I got to get guys in the right sets. He's very smart. He's very cerebral, and he's just got an unbelievable feel for the game. He was the number one pick in the draft for a reason, and I think more and more this year we're gonna see glimpses of that.
First of all, let me say how weird it is to see DJ Augustine wearing Milwaukee gear. I saw a picture this past week, and it still doesn't feel right. I think
it's the only jersey he hasn't worn before he got to Orlando. Right. He'll joke with you on that, but I know it was strange. He's been a Magic guy for 4 years.
It honestly feels a lot longer. I've always been a big DJ fan, but I think that one of the most exciting parts about this season is the fact that Markelle only has a rookie backing him up. And no matter how talented Cole Anthony is, it's Markelle's show. If Markelle wasn't having a good game or whatever the case may be, you can still rely on DJ Augustine, his veteranship to be able to lead us there. But it's just on him. And he's so fun to watch. He has the size, and he has this really quirky, the way that he's able to kind of bend his body and kind of still score with four people on top. It is the most bizarre, most amazing thing I've ever seen from a player. And the fact that he has that ability, it's fun to watch.
That degree of difficulty, right, is, I know, you're right, his bendability, how he's able to get to the basket, and he can absorb contact. He can get hit, and he can finish. I mean, he's a terrific finisher. He's working on that little step back. He's getting that pull up. That was the biggest thing he worked on this year, was shooting off the bounce. He wanted to be able to go right from his dribble into a shot. And I think if he starts to perfect that, that's going to be a problem. But you saw at the end of games, probably in the last month or two of the season, he'd just go to work. He'd put his head down and he'd get to the basket. And you're right. It's here, and then it's here, and you don't know how he's able to even hold on to the thing. But he gets wherever he wants. No one can stay in front of him. And I think that's what gets you most excited, is his ability to get wherever he wants on the floor. And we are huge DJ fans, but you bring up a great point in that there was always kind of that safety net there. And you kind of have one in Michael Carter-Williams. You've got another veteran that if Markelle has questions or how to run the point position, he can ask MCW. But DJ was the guy that was kind of always that safety net, and that's not there. So I think he's got to take it to another level this year, and I think he's ready to do that.
Now, Dante, another guy who doesn't have that backing this year is Aaron Gordon. So again, Isaac being out, it's kind of on him to kind of hold control of that power forward position and really run the show there for us. Another thing for him is he's always been kind of back and forth, the 3 and the 4. What is he? This year, he'll be a solid 4 the entire season. What do you expect from AG this season? Do you expect to see better numbers, more consistency, since he is playing the natural power forward position?
I think so. I remember what Aaron did the 5 to 10 games right before the hiatus, right before they shut it down, when they put the ball in his hands and he could be a playmaker. And then they posted him up on the low block. And as a 4, if he got switched onto a 3, he was able to abuse him. Or if it was a 4, he was too quick and he could go around. He just used his physicality until Kyle Lowry cheap shotted him and he wasn't able to finish there in the bubble. I still stand by that. There was no other intent than to knock him off balance and whatever happens. But so that was unfortunate because that could have gone different if you had him in the bubble to defend Giannis and all that. But I think I think you found something with Aaron. And again, he's okay. Yeah, he's going into year 7, but he's 25 years old. I mean, he's a guy that's still just a baby when you're thinking about NBA life and what is to come with AG. But I do think it's a big year, and I think he needs to make a jump, and I think he will. If he can focus consistent 3-point shooting, the spot up threes, not too much dribbling or shooting off the bounce, catch and shoot. He became very good 3-point shooter with his feet set last year, putting the ball in his hands. He's a great passer. He was 4 or 5 assists a game when they kind of ran plays for him, and he can bully guys on that low block. And then you see putbacks and you see getting out in transition. There's all kinds of ways for Aaron to score, and I think you're going to see more of that. This team needs that from him, and hopefully he's able to kind of find that consistency this year.
Dante, serious question: is there any chance for me to catch up to Aaron Gordon? Do I have a shot?
Zero. That takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work for Aaron to grow his. To keep it that smooth, I would think is a lot of work too. Yeah.
So for those that aren't watching the video and just listening,
that's true.
Anthony has 0 hair on his head, but he has all of it on his face. And he wants to know if he could grow a fro just like Aaron.
Aaron, I don't think he touched it since the bubble ended. We had him on the post-game show, as you guys saw, and he's fiddling with the headset. It wouldn't sit right on it, but he said, hey, I just wanted to see what it would do and let it grow. And it's a different look. It looks cool. And if that works for him and he can get 29, 30 points a game with that, I'm all for it.
I think the froze actually made him stronger because the last couple of games I've seen him grabbing rebounds over 4 people, putting it up. Yeah. I feel like the braids make him a little more aerodynamic. So hopefully we're still able to see the
Well, he's always had that. He always had that athleticism.
That's right.
And the numbers can be deceiving, and I think that's important to point out for fans because he is such a great defender, and he's so solid on that end of the floor that I think that makes up for so much of that. But I think he would tell you it wasn't the year he wanted to have offensively, and I think he'll bounce back.
Now
with that hair.
Right now, Dante. Obviously, I have the feeling that this team can only go as far as Nikola Vucevic will lead us. He's going to be our main anchor. He's the one player that we absolutely need him to play like he does in the bubble, which I thought he played out of his mind. What do you see from Vucevic going into this season? And also, with a lot of the media talks out there, they have the Magic right now out of the playoffs. What are your predictions of where the Magic will end up landing?
Well, it's interesting. We did a podcast, and I encourage everyone to listen to that. Of course, listen to this one first, and then after that, if you got time, go to Magic Pod Squad. And we kind of asked that very same question just because, Vooch played so well in the bubble, and does he have another level to get to? And here he is now 30 years old, year 10 in the NBA, year 9 with the Magic, and played the best basketball of his life in the bubble. And I think now with the ability to extend beyond the three-point line, if he gets up to 7 or 8 3-point attempts a game, then I think there's going to be more opportunities to score there. But I talked to him earlier today, and he's like, you hear that when a guy's 25, 26 that they've peaked. That's it. He'd been in the league 5 or 6 years. He goes, and I thought, okay, I think this is probably the best I can do. This is probably, I feel good. I feel like I'm in my prime right now. He goes, but the last couple of years, he said it's just gotten to another level. And he feels this year, coming into this season, is the best he's felt mentally and physically since he's been in the NBA. And I think that is important to point out because everybody thinks, the media, a guy at 30, how much can he add to his game? Well, I think we've seen that this guy has another gear to get to, and I think you're exactly right. And he's been consistent. He's almost 20 and 10 every single night. And if he can get it to, if we're talking 22, 23, and still the 12 rebounds, and now he's hitting 3 or 4 threes a night, I mean, I think this team becomes very dangerous. And I don't like the predictions about being out of the Eastern Conference play. I just don't see it. I know you don't have Isaac, and that's a big part of it. But I think you've got a deep team, a deeper team than you've had in a while. And I know you got 10 less games, right? So, the win total, could it be in the 30s? It could be. You won 33 last year. Could it be around 32, 33 again? But I think what we mentioned on the podcast was the worst we all think they could be is in the play-in, right? That's probably the floor, at least in the play-in where you're competing for that last playoff spot. 10th, probably the worst. So you get a chance to make it with the play-in. The best, 5 or 6, if it all comes together and you're healthy. With COVID changes everything. We don't know, God forbid anyone gets it on this team or in the whole league, fans, whoever. Let's be done with this. But health, all things considered, we don't know how much better these teams are going to be in the Eastern Conference. People haven't predicted the Magic to make the playoffs the last 2 years, and they have. So I think they're going to build on it. And I think they're going to, personally, I think they're going to be battling for 6th or 7th.
Before the season started, I wasn't as optimistic, but then seeing what the young guys are bringing, I think I'm more optimistic about them making the playoffs than I was a few weeks back. But Dante, to kind of wrap things up, I did have one final thought for you. In a recent episode of the Pod Squad you did with Magic CEO Alex Martins, he spoke about the hurdles to achieving a crowd at Amway Center this year and the difference in perspective and approach between the Magic and the Heat ownership and bringing fans back to the arena. Can you speak a little bit about how the Magic core values influenced the decision to allow fans back in the arena?
Yeah, I think it was very interesting. Our ownership group and management team, led by Alex Martins, the CEO, kind of wanted to gauge where fans were at. Hey, if we were going to open our doors, would there be interest? And they sent something out to season ticket holders, and much more than 50% said, yeah, if the doors are open, we want to come. And so then it became, well, can we get them in the building? What's it going to take to get them in the building? And that long, arduous task and that long road that they took to put everything in place, safety first. Safety and health comes first, and following all the CDC guidelines, working with their partners like Advent Health, and what's it going to take? Now you continue to explore and work with the partners. What's it going to take to open our doors? And then find out, okay, this thing could happen. And listen, it's not going to be financially beneficial, I don't think, for this team to open the door and have 25% capacity, have 4,000, 4,500 fans in the building by the time you pay all your game night employees and all that. I don't think you come out ahead, but if fans want to go, to be able to provide that service and that ability for them to go at the Magic's expense to make sure it's the safest environment possible, they wanted to do that. They wanted to provide that option for their fans. And I think that was important to point out, that fans want to go, because you say, well, why take all that on? And I think it was that the fans want to go. They want to do it if it can be done safely. And again, safety and health will be first and foremost, but you're going to see hand sanitizing stations all over. We saw a bunch of them already in a couple of preseason games. They've got this UV light cleaner on the handrails for escalators that cleans those things as it makes its rotation. Everybody's socially distanced in the building. You got to fill out your Clear app. If you're anywhere near the players, those fans are going to get tested. So again, they thought of everything. I would argue, I think for these guys, I think it was easier to open the building in 2010 than it was this, with everything that you had to consider and make sure fans were safe. So that's, again, it's not perfect, and you got to make sure everybody, follows like it does what they're supposed to do when they come in. But I think they feel comfortable. I talked to Dr. Hendricks with Advent Health, and he said, absolutely 100%, I would bring my family into Amway Center for a Magic game. And he walked the building, and he wanted to get a feel for what it was like in there. So they've taken all the precautions humanly possible, and they feel ready for fans in the building, which we know will be loud and ready to go here on opening night and throughout the season.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. We're super excited. Dante, thank you so much for joining us on the episode again and taking time out of your day. Hopefully the third time that we have you on, we're completely done with COVID-19 altogether.
I am all for that, Anthony. Thank you, Al, Justin. Great to see you guys again. Keep up the great work. I tell you what, there's a lot of people that are following the team, and you guys do a fantastic job with it, and become a great source for me and for all of us in case we miss something. You guys are on top of it, so we appreciate that, and I hope we're going to see you at some point in the building too.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Sir,
I'll be there.
Thank you for listening to the OZone podcast, the voice of Magic fans.
Be sure to visit our website, theozonepod.com, and remember to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on all your favorite podcast listening platforms.